speaks to being like adaptable. It's adaptability. You do have to change when you're in a situation like this.
Yeah, evolved is exactly the word that I was going to use because it's so accurate. Things have really shifted.
If you're experiencing something, guarantee other people are as well.
We have to just trust and go from there. You're listening to the Apology Void podcast.
And today we don't really have a topic, do we? Like, not a specific topic, but we're just going to chat about, like the ins and outs of the podcast, a little bit of how we got here, how this works, a bit of a life catch-up. We're due for that.
Yeah, a little refresh and behind the scenes. And for those of you who are just joining this journey over the last few episodes, kind of give you the scoop on how we got here. Because how that happened, a lot of people ask me about very regularly.
And it's a journey, let's say that. Sort of.
It's a journey, but it's also like a pretty simple thing. And it's all about just following your intuition for me and your gut and having the fortitude and confidence to say, hey, you want to do this? So
let's do it. I feel like my brain space as well today needs this, right?
A little bit of a chat. Yeah, a little bit of a chat.
I came into my cupboard. So for those who don't know, I record from a cupboard because of sound. So it works, I won't show you my cupboard right now because it's very messy because we're moving. But I came into my cupboard today, put down my cup of tea. We always have cups of tea when we're recording. Picked up my phone, knocked the microphone, dropped the cup of tea. It's like, fabulous start. Fabulous.
We're doing great.
It just suits the vibes of today.
It does. I actually took a shower before jumping on this recording right now so that I could wake myself up and refresh a little bit just because I've been so lethargic today and just tired and not feeling like my hottest, bestest brain is working. And so I was like, we're gonna trick ourselves. We're gonna take a shower and get dressed and put on the most minimal amount of makeup and make a cup of tea to trick our brain into thinking it is first thing in the morning and we are bright and bushy-tailed. Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. That's the thing.
Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Yeah. There's our first point, right? So for those of you who don't know, well, you can probably hear anyway, we're on opposite sides of the world. So I am an Aussie. I'm in Melbourne, Australia. As you can hear, it is in the morning for me. So I wake up, it's 10 a.m. actually, so it's not bright and early. But I'm not really an early riser these days, so it is reasonably early. And Katey is, you say where you are.
I'm an American who has always lived around-ish the Chicago greater area. We'll just put it that way. I think that's the easiest way to say like where I'm from because that's how my accent kind of comes across as like Midwestern American. So right now it is after 7 p.m. here and it's after 10 a.m. for you because we're currently working on a 15-hour time difference, which is wild and fluctuates based on the season.
And we do have to keep track of that. We're definitely getting better since. Did you get that app on your phone?
I did get the app on my phone.
Yeah, so it shows you the different times. Before that, every day we're like, "What time is it? What time is it? What time is it for you? What time is it for you?" That took a hot minute.
It really did. Our first fall recording together, I didn't even think about the fact that our daylight savings times switched at different points in the year and went in opposite directions. So one of the times that we were supposed to be recording, Sal messages me. I'm standing at the elevator in my apartment building with armfuls of groceries. And she's like, where are you? Aren't we recording? And I was like, in an hour. And she's like, no. But we didn't realize that the time had changed for her. And so we've just had to be like very on about communication when it comes to the spring and the fall and what time we're meeting and what it's looking like and when the time changes are happening, and just be very cognizant of that because it would be so easy for us to like just completely miss each other.
100%. And I feel like that's not that I'm bringing in a topic, but I just want to say that I guess that speaks to being very, like, adaptable. Like, it's adaptability. You do have to change when you're in a situation like this, and you do have to be understanding of things like time changes.
Mm-hmm.
And we forget, like, I can barely keep track of our own time change, whatever that word was, changer, to be honest. Like, is it this weekend? When is it again? Are we going forward? Are we going back? Let alone yours as well. Like,
Yeah.
so I think that just is being, like, adaptable,
Yeah, and using our resources, like having an app where we can check that, and being very clear in communication, because we communicate primarily through Instagram messages, not through like not WhatsApp or
I
Signal.
don't know why we do that.
It's where it started. It's worked to this point, so we keep it going, I think.
It's fine.
You have that place in my life and in my heart, and so I think it just works there. But like, we'll be very honest with each other. Like, this week we were trying to come up with when to meet, and I was like, I can do Wednesday or Thursday, but my Wednesday night, your Thursday morning works better for me. And we use that language of like, it'll be this time for me, this time for you, just to confirm and stay on the same page all of the time, because we're just 15 to 17 hours apart, depending on the month.
Depending on time of year, month, etc., whatever works.
Precisely.
So a question I got the other day was, when I was talking to someone about the podcast, was like, how do we structure it? And like, what do we, when we're talking about topics, like, how do we come up with those? So let's touch on that, because that has evolved over time. Historically, when we first started, we did pre-plan topics and we did discuss what we were going to talk about and how that was going to sort of play out in the recording. That's how we started. But that's not what we do now.
Yeah, evolved is exactly the word that I was going to use, because it's so accurate. Things have really shifted. And I think there was one very specific conversation when I feel like we were 10 episodes in, and it was like, do we really need a plan? What are we going to talk about today? And we just happened to talk about what had been happening in the week and say, oh, that's a really good, timely topic to settle on. And it started to feel less forced and less pre-planned and more organic when we just had those, 15, 20-minute pre-recording chats and decided then and there. I will omit things that I'm telling you in my stories about my past 2 weeks because I know they'll make decent content. And I want to make sure that like all of our conversations are more organic. So we went from planning out this very detailed, here are the points that we're going to touch on, bullet point Trello list, to flying by the seat of our pants every recording. And I love it.
That's exactly what we do. We don't plan anything.
Mm-mm.
We just get here. And we've spoken about this before, but a lot of our content, what we talk about is, like, I feel like we need it, or it's something that we're working on, or it's something that keeps coming up for us. And I think that's where we get the most organic content, like you're saying, the most organic conversations, because it's real for us in that moment. It's something that we are experiencing in our own life. It's something that we feel we need in our own life. So it becomes easier to talk about, and that's more real. Not saying that when we plan, it's not real, because we were planning based on things that we had learned and things that can be implemented for people in their life. However, when it just becomes a natural conversation, I don't know, it feels just, it feels more easier. No, it's not like, not English, but it feels easier. It feels more natural. It feels like it's adding value, because if you're experiencing something, guarantee other people are as well.
Correct. And I feel like on a very like global universal scale, a lot of the topics that we talk about, multiple people in our lives are dealing with those things at the same time. And so I feel like there's these patterns and shifts that are happening both for us and on a larger scale that then we're very authentically able to communicate on and be very present on. And I think that's a big piece of it, is that presence and allowing us to be more present because we haven't pre-discussed the topic in detail, which honestly, that was great for the initial get to know you. That was great to like get to know how your brain functions and how my brain functions and where they align. But the more that we've talked, the easier it's become to be present and just listen to each other and play off of each other. And I really love that.
Same. And I feel like that's been part of the evolution as well, because perhaps in the beginning, as I said, we didn't know, we were strangers, guys. So for those of you who don't know, absolute strangers, met on Instagram specifically, and just started chatting. Okay. So we weren't aware of each other's nuances. We weren't aware of each other's speech patterns, cadences, any of those things. That's things that we have learnt over time. So perhaps something more organic and winging it, as I would say, wouldn't have worked in the beginning, because we were learning. And you'll hear, like when I go back and I listen, you can hear, like sometimes we interrupt each other by mistake because we don't know that we're finished or like that. But that, I mean, it still happens occasionally, you know, because that's just us chatting, but way less often than it did in the beginning, because we've learnt that about each other and we know. And I think it just comes more natural to have that conversation in this setting too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think so. And the other nice evolution and piece of that is I have to do way less editing on the back end because we're not interrupting each other as much. So love it.
The amount of editing is like minimal, like tiny.
Yeah.
I'm getting a lot of delay right now on my internet, I will say, because I'm like, Katey's frozen for me right now. I know this won't come up in the recording. So right now I'm winging it. I can't go by your body language. So I'm just trying to listen. That happens to us as well, guys. It happens all the time and we just have to roll with it. So sometimes that's probably the most, I think that's probably when we most interrupt each other now, is when my fabulous internet, because I live in the middle of nowhere, plays up and we just can't even see each other.
You are syncing back up right now, which is great because your body and your voice were moving at two different speeds for like a couple minutes there, but you're back in alignment, which is really nice. So hopefully I don't interrupt you too much again. But yeah, that's where that comes in and where the editing happens the most. And it's most tricky when we have a guest, because we've learned our way around that a little bit more. But now if we have a guest, I have to prompt them and say, if either of us freezes or you lose like connection or what seems like a spotty connection, you have to keep going. Just keep going, because it's recording it separately and then mashing it together. So we use a beautiful app that makes this process a lot more seamless and a lot easier for us both. But there are still the glitches that happen because we are on opposite sides of an ocean and many hour plane ride apart. So we all have technical issues.
There's another change that's happened. So originally we did this on Zoom, for those of you who've been here the whole time and have watched those previous episodes. I wasn't aware of this, but all of those lags and stuff sometimes in recordings come up in Zoom, right? So that's where that editing came in, because you've got to like make sure you get them out, etc., whatever. Yeah. We don't edit what we say. So we're very big on just being natural, and what comes out is meant to come out, and that's just how it is. We don't edit what we say. We don't cut out swear words. Sorry, guys, that's mainly me, I will admit. Don't cut them out. But now we use Riverside now. Incredible. That's been game-changing.
Absolutely changed everything. everything. And I'm
Shout
pretty
out
sure
episode.
I've taken to like swearing almost as much as you have. I think I dropped the
Oh
F-bomb
dear.
solidly on a recent episode, and I was like, nope, it's staying. It's staying. Could have edited
Yeah.
it. But literally the only thing I edit out this moment is when we have those technical glitches and we clearly are very obviously speaking on top of each other about two different things. So then I will make the executive call as to which voice I mute and how to keep that conversation flowing in the most natural way I possibly can.
And that just
Otherwise,
has to happen in the process, right?
yeah. Otherwise, it's all straight up just how we talk on a very regular basis. And I love that those chats started with the Instagram voice memos back and forth.
Love a voice memo. Love a voice memo.
Yes. But we have to remember that the overlap time where both of us is awake is very small. I mean, right now we're in a period where we're only 15 hours apart, so we have a little more wiggle room to play with. Like your 7 a.m. to maybe like 12 p.m.
Yeah.
But other than that, like we don't have a lot of time where we both are conscious and awake in this world and able to respond to each other's messages. So rather than pre-planning our episodes, we're making sure days in advance that we're connecting on the right time that we're going to chat and the spacing of that and how each other is doing. And we have to kind of just understand that the other person's going to show up. We have to just trust and go from there.
100%. And that's part of it too. Like we both know that like we can trust each other. And if we're not going to show up or can't show up, we'll let each other know, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
you know, we have the discussion, hey, what time is it? Yep, you're 10 a.m. And there has been instances where there's been, yo, can't come, soz, whatever it is, we just reschedule. And that's one of the reasons. So the time difference, the amount of time that we're awake together, lifing, means that we do pre-record. So for those who don't know, we do sometimes, not like this one is only a couple of days before it's going to be uploaded. And that does happen. But sometimes it might be a few weeks before because we just chat about what is happening in our next few weeks coming up or what our life looks like. And if there's not going to be availability in those times that we can do, we're like, okay, cool, let's just pre-record one for that week in case we can't catch up. And then that's where it being organic and it just flowing works well. Because at the start, we were like, this is episode 2, this is episode 3, which is great. But then it's like, we actually recorded 3, but now we don't have 4. So we've got to like quickly write, like, let's make sure we do 4. It becomes stressful. Yeah. And there's pressure. It's forced. You mentioned they're being forced to do things. And that's where sometimes you lose that authenticity as well. Yeah. If you're forcing something, okay, we said we were going to do this topic in episode 4, so this is what we have to talk about, even though it's not coming up for us, you know?
Yep. That's exactly it. That is exactly it. So that's a
We're
big change.
Big change. We're vibing that. We're vibing it being organic and flowing. I'm just saying.
And I don't think there's any way for either of us to really be other than that. Because our lives are just constantly changing.
Yep. And it's our personality. If you haven't figured that out, our personalities are like, I feel like they're very different. Don't get me wrong. We're very different people, but they're so much the same. It's just like, we don't even have to say many words. We're like, yep, we're life and we're going, yep, I get you. It's just like this mashup of brain. And we're just understanding it.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I love that you mentioned how similar but how different we both are. Because if you even are just ever watching, you can tell that based on our backgrounds. Just based on what's behind each of us and like the vibe of that or even what we're wearing or how we're set up. Like, I try to mimic about the same head height and size by the spacing of my camera. But everything else behind us is very representative of more of who we are.
To be fair, I'm in a cupboard. But you're not wrong, because I'm really like, things stress me out, right? So I'm like, I need my space to be like, my head to be like clear.
Yeah.
Like in my lounge room, I don't have just like no furniture and nothing on my walls. Like it's not just like a padded cell, which it does look like in here. But to be fair, I'm in a cupboard. But you're right. You're not wrong. Like,
I mean, like the
That's
amount
so
of things
funny.
within reaching distance from me that you would be like, what the hell, Katey? Like, why do you even have that there? Is just exorbitant. I'm actually, you don't know this yet, and I feel like I should forewarn you, but I'm considering moving where I sit to record and creating a blank backdrop, but I'm afraid that it'll just be too sterile for me. And so I'm like, how do I add things like plants and whatnot? But our game room here in our house, which is our second bedroom, has so many games on the walls that it's so
Fun.
dead silent. It's dead silent in there because there's so much stuff to absorb the sound. And I'm like, oh, that's better sound quality. And I could just put up this thing to make a blank backdrop for all my other meetings. But I don't know if I can do that for this, because this is just like more who I am. So we'll see. Check back with me in 2 weeks and see where we're at, Sal.
Yeah, and then when we move house, I said that last week, but I'm still in the same house. It's happening. Don't worry. You'll actually, because I don't have just a spare cupboard. I'm moving into this tiny apartment, guys. So I just don't have a spare cupboard lying around. So you're going to see my actual space. It's probably going to be a blank wall.
Are we going to flip-flop?
It's going to be a blank wall.
It's just going to be a blank wall.
It's going to be the same, guys. Let's be honest.
100%.
Let's be honest.
We need to get you art.
I do have some art. Yeah, I've just got to, get it up, and a lot of it's packed away. Like this was supposed to be so temporary that we just like have been living a little bit temporary, but it ended up not being that temporary, but that's fine. Speaking of, just want to rewind a little bit. Speaking of like what we're wearing, it's before we jumped on, we were talking about, okay, for my Aussies, Katey's wearing a t-shirt, as we can see, and I'm wearing a hoodie. I was like, oh, you're getting warmer. We're getting colder because we're coming into winter, you're coming into summer, etc. Spring, autumn/fall, wherever you are. I was like, oh, how warm is it? And she was like, 50, what'd you say, 55 or 50 degrees?
It's currently 53.
Remember.
53
degrees.
53.
That's 12 degrees, my Aussie team. I was like, that's freezing. It's also, so we're the same temperature. It's also 12 degrees here. And I was like, I am also 12 degrees. It's freezing. I'm wearing a hoodie, trackies, socks. And this guy is just sitting around in a t-shirt. I was like,
and thinking
what is wrong with you?
I'm thinking about opening the windows too. So, because
like,
it's getting warm. It's warm. It's above freezing here. That's so exciting.
Yeah, 12 degrees isn't warm.
Well, you know what?
Aussie team, back me up.
My friend showed up yesterday, and it was the 12 degrees Celsius, and they were wearing shorts and sandals.
No.
So, short sleeves, no coat.
No.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think we've established, based on our conversation of when I was coming over, and you were like, oh, yeah, like, and it was like 0 degrees, that we have different perceptions of what's cold and what's hot.
It's because Midwest cold and
Is
northern
cold.
United States gets like cold. It is like bone chilling cold. So, I mean, our
so
lows
12
right
degrees
now
is like summer.
It's it's rather springy.
It's rather springy.
There are flowers blooming. Things are happening. Life is green again. It's brilliant. There's not snow on the ground. I mean, we are peak tornado season, but
Tornadoes, that's stress.
we
don't
had
have
some
tornadoes.
we had a new weather phenomenon the other day that I had never actually heard of, and it had us without power for like 3 days. It's called a wake low. So after a big squall line of storms, it can leave in its wake like a low pressure system that causes intense winds. So it knocked trees like completely out, like uprooted them. Everything in my backyard was knocked over. Power lines were down. Business signs were literally bent in half around the pole because it was so bad.
So do you guys have generators?
Some people do. We don't currently, but
Oh,
yeah,
you don't yet.
a lot
But
of
that's
people
like a
do.
regular thing. Because
Listen,
I know you have like basements and like creepy ass things that you can lock yourself in and stuff.
Creepy ass things you can lock yourself, like a cellar.
I guess so. Like those doors that like lift up in the movies and people run down there and they lock them and they're like got little houses down there with couches and stuff.
Like a cellar.
I guess so, yeah. Anyway, so I thought you probably have generators.
I don't currently have a generator, though I have considered buying one recently.
I think that's a good idea. When we say cellar here, we mean wine cellar, like where you keep wine.
That's fair. What do you
when I
call
think cellar?
What do you call the drawers in your kitchen?
Drawers.
Do you call them drawers? I saw somebody call them something else, like pull-outs, the other day.
Nah, I call them drawers.
Okay. All right. So that's the other thing, is we constantly have to like check on language here because it's gotten better, but I had no idea what Sal was saying half the time when we originally met. And it has been a learning experience for both of us. We've gotten better at math, both with time and Celsius and Fahrenheit. I'm very proud of us. As well as like metric to
Oh yeah, that's stupid. You're
our
the country in the
baloney.
world. Baloney. But yeah, I mean, I probably do still say things that you have no idea about. And our listeners, obviously our US listeners, and they're thinking, what is that? Like the absolute slang that comes out of our mouth. Funny.
So I should send you a picture of what I was imagining with a jumper. And what you were describing as a jumper.
I'm talking about a jumper.
Right. I thought you were talking about like a one-piece jumpsuit.
Oh, a jumpsuit.
Or like
a
dress or something. Because I would never... Yeah.
Sweater, jumper, hoodie.
A sweater, a jumper.
Hoodie.
Sweatshirt.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Anyway, it's been a journey. I feel like there were so many more things I wanted to talk about today, but we just didn't get there. Yeah, it's fine. Anyway, so I guess the bottom line is we do wing it. We do just come up with topics on the fly. However, if there's something that you do particularly want us to talk about, talking to our listeners here, when I say you, that our listeners want us to talk about, send them in. Like send us a message and say, hey, like I generally struggle with something like this. Have you experienced that before? Can we chat about that in the podcast? More than happy to do so.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like sometimes we want to help. The reason we started this podcast was to help people because that's one of our biggest passions together. Empower women. I mean, we said that, but, you know, it can be men too, just not just exclusively women. But empowering people to be confident, empowering people to have courage and just to be their true self with no fear and no judgment and just living your best life. So we want to hear from you.
Heck yeah. Send us a message. Until next time, Sal.
Until next time. Don't know what we're going to talk about. But
until next time, we'll keep dancing and vibing. All right.
Let's not promise to have different backgrounds, but we might. But
you just never know. All right.
Bye. Bye.